Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We'll call this part two of the James special. This is gonna be episode 7, hitting you in the earwaves. Zoom recording limits are continually a hamper on this show, and rectifying action will be taken. But we got a new episode time. We got to start a new recording. So episode 7. Uh, if you guys want to do your little hellos, let the people know who's here. Holden, as always. But
Hi. Ever since the first part of this episode,
mhm,
I've been snacking on chips.
mhm.
Now it's the second part of episode. I've opened up a new can of salsa, and I'm still snacking on chips.
That's good. That's good. It's good to have a treat. You
Yeah.
know,
Is it the
get
same bag of chips?
Yeah, it's the Tostitos party size bag.
okay.
Brother,
Okay.
you better be in bag 2 by the time this episode's over.
That's
Oof.
true. I don't even think no, I have a bag too, but that bag's almost done. I think by that time I should stop eating chips.
Potentially.
I might die.
There's potential for that.
A lot of sodium. It's a lot of carbohydrates.
A lot of carbs, a
Yeah.
lot of sodium,
That's true.
all that in the
That-
food.
Yeah,
That's what I have to do after I wake up. It's my wake up workout. It's basically what I just practice like going from sleep to like waking up. And so after that I gotta do like my post workout like protein and shit and get that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, at the end of part 1 of this special here, we were discussing, Electronicon, Fulcrum, Vapor, all things of that styling. Any other thoughts anyone wanted to impart regarding, the I don't know. I feel like Fulcrum is it's an interesting case study
Yeah, I was
in
gonna
modern
say
music, I would say,
I was
because
gonna
Fulcrum is a musician. I don't know about first and foremost, but Fulcrum is a musician.
I feel like I would like to talk about Fulcrum.
Mhm.
More so because I feel like you guys have more experience with them.
Mhm.
As this does relate to music in one way, I think this is a more general conversation about the influencer musician,
Mhm.
so to say, because I feel like that, like first and foremost, Fulcrum is like an influencer who also happens to make music. Music
Right.
may not be entirely his main thing. I mean, at least as far as I don't know because I don't watch him that much, but like it is like promoted in like his it is like promoted in his like YouTube videos like all the time basically.
Right.
Um
uh,
but
yeah,
you guys go ahead. You guys go ahead. I want to hear what you guys you
yeah.
guys
Fulcrum absolutely is a musician. In fact, he is definitely a trailblazer of the up and coming genre known as Star Wars rap.
Yes.
So,
Are there other artists in that sphere?
yeah. I don't,
Hmm.
not that I'm any that I'm aware of, but I'm sure there are. I
Up
think
and coming.
Fulcrum is definitely a key member of that community, I would say.
Definitely, definitely. And I think a lot of his stylings, very cloud rap, very internet rap, and that brings us back to our Lil B's and our Soldier Boys and stuff like at that point, which artists I have great respect for. Fulcrum, you know, he feels like our Lil B, like our generation's Lil B. Maybe not, or maybe Fulcrum. I feel like Fulcrum is somewhere in relevant to our age demographic, but then also there's a few years younger than us. I feel like, but I didn't grow up with Lil B, but I functionally grew up with Fulcrum. So I would say
Right.
Fulcrum is a Lil B of our generation. They have a lot in common. They're borrowing from the same kinds of sounds, just like that internet cloud rap styling. I definitely like it. It's definitely a preferred sound of mine. I'm very familiar with it, like it quite a lot.
Can you
James,
guys
What?
can you guys tell me about 'cause aside from like Fulcrum just being someone that makes music and content, can you tell me about you guys as viewers of Fulcrum's content, what is your draw to him? Why do you like
Mhm.
Fulcrum?
James, you collecting your thoughts on that? Because I can go.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, um, restate the question one more time.
Oh,
you don't
what
mind.
is like the draw for like Fulcrum? Like
I
what,
think
like
I
why
think
why do you guys enjoy this person and I guess like maybe this could open up a bigger conversation
Hmm.
about the otherwise merging form um of music, like influencer slash musician, so to
Right.
speak.
I think he definitely, I think there's a mantra. I think the Fulcrum employs a very interesting strategy, with very like viral moments to get people's attention. But in the bulk of his, like, especially his YouTube uploads, he's just spreading a message, and that is a message of appreciation, respect for the people around you, respect for what you have, and just that you can achieve anything, you set out to do. Those are all very, maybe not tired tropes, but oft repeated tropes among the successful and the idols of the world. But and with Fulcrum, you can genuinely feel I guess his genuineness. It feels very genuinely like someone who found their own fame doing what they were doing and are trying to inspire people to find success for themselves. I think that's what, and as potentially immature or silly or not worth attention as Fulcrum's music may, like, or Fulcrum as a personality may appear to the average person, I think that I definitely gravitate towards his opinions and his takes on the world.
Yeah. Also, like the way that he just like looks at things in general. I think excuse me, one of the things that you guys were mentioning a lot recently is that like he'll just like go into like Target or Walmart and be like everyone here is paid actors, all right, and it like goes up to people like you're doing great today, man. You're doing great out there today.
Yeah.
And I like kind of like I think the way that he interacts with his surroundings and for like videos is especially like really entertaining
Mhm. I would
because
say there's an ethereal quality where he kind of just floats along top of a social setting. He kind of just is like an outside observer, and he interferes with the mortals, but for the most part, he's just doing his own thing in a public space, and it's refreshing. It's very
and
refreshing.
I also
Yeah,
feel like the wait, James, did you want to say
no, go
something?
ahead.
Oh, I also want to say that like there's a lot of times where like people like content creators will do stuff like that, but it's kind of like more so like disruptive of people. But like I feel like I mean I feel like there are times where like it can be disruptive, but it's like not like overly like disruptive of other people's lives, you know what I mean? Like because most of the time what he's doing is like going into Walmart just like getting like obliterated off of the dab pen
Mm.
and then like passing it off to other people or like he's just like or like in like his car or like he's like on like a school campus or
Hmm.
something and
I think it
he's
is.
just
It's definitely
yeah.
pertinent to mention his use of THC and use of cannabis is definitely an integral part of his character. I think some of his earliest viral moments were him just uh, subsuming THC in an inappropriate context, or or just like
Yeah.
like around people and making a scene of himself out of it. But I think
Yeah.
that's what was so unique and like attractive about it. It's just like some level of a guy who cares so little for his environment that he's going to do what he wants to do when he wants to do it. It's kind of the vibe I get. But it's also, I think, also an attempted transference of like just like a good vibe. It feels almost spiritual in that way, potentially.
Right. And I
So
feel
like,
oh yeah, go James, please.
okay, so I think Fulcrum is just like a genius, honestly.
Hmm.
Like the way that he uh spreads his message, and he knows that like he knows what's gonna go viral.
Hmm.
Like he knows that like, doing all this outrageous stuff, like, hotboxing a Wendy's bathroom or whatever, uh, giving weed to cops, whatever it may be. Like he just understands like that's like his vessel to like get his message out there. And his
Hmm.
message is uh, live in the present moment, do what you need to do.
Hmm.
Uh yeah. I don't know.
Pretty much. I mean, that I feel like that is the there's the
That's what it comes down to. But like, I
ultimately.
think he's just extremely smart. Like, cause he's an entertainer. He's also just funny. Like,
Right.
Yeah. Like I feel that he has he has the ability to kind of just like I don't know, he's not really he's unapologetically like himself, and I
Mhm.
feel like that's just like what is like attractive about like his content is that there's not really like it doesn't seem like there's much concern for how people view him, and especially like for for a lot of the public settings that he is tied into.
Mhm.
Um, I otherwise just like find that like he even takes some videos to just like vent to like the camera, to
Mhm.
just like not even really talk about something or try to be or like do something funny, like just like I guess like be honest and real about like a moment for like a second or whatever that may be. Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
But what are your guys' favorite what's your favorite Fulcrum video?
That's a hard one. That's a hard
Yeah,
one.
I have to think about that.
I probably one of the early, just getting faded in Burger King. Just like it's fundamentals, fundamentals,
Was it the Burger
fundamentals.
King or the Carl's Jr.?
I might have been the Carl's Jr. Just the
That
one
was
where
the first one you guys showed me.
I think that yes, I believe that's the video. Just because of his speech patterns, what he's doing, where he's doing it, his sound effects, his editing choices are immaculate. Just when he's smacking, and I think also we should talk about Fulcrum's contribution to the greater lexicon because I feel like people were not saying Benjamin, people were not saying exquisite, people were not saying like
Oh yeah.
all. I think that Fulcrum has added to the public lexicon. I think for those unexperienced, he has
Yeah,
a
that's
very
another thing. That's another
unique way of
reason
talking. Yeah.
that he's such a genius is because he knows that like these like catchphrases and like he's just super quotable and he knows
Mhm.
that that's the kind of thing that's going to stick in people's minds.
Best believe it.
Best believe it.
Best believe it.
Yeah, like I feel like especially like his little intro, the Fulcrum come in, yeah, Yodi gang.
Gang, you feel me?
I feel like
Real
yeah,
shit, real spill.
I love real spell. There's also different like eras of what he says and
Yeah,
when
it
he says it.
evolves. It evolves. He like
There's that.
gets new yeah.
I think that what was it? Can you repeat that? The
What?
his one new real spell. I think that's definitely
Real
one of my
spill.
favorite recent additions to his lexicon, for sure.
I just love the whole bit that like everything is CGI, computer generated. Like nothing you see here is real. This is tobacco, not weed.
Exactly. And he's so genius because where he lives, it is completely legalized for adults to recreationally in California, consume marijuana. But like to skirt YouTube legality concerns, just being like this is all tobacco. All of these people are paid actors or generated with computers. I think it's not only an effective way, arguably effective because obviously they're not CGI and paid actors, but like it's an effective and funny way for him to address a concern in a way that adds to the bit, and I really have to appreciate that. I commend that. I think it's
yeah.
fun.
Now, I'd like to open this up to a larger conversation.
Hmm.
So obviously, um, taking someone like Fulcrum, who's a content creator,
Hmm.
an internet personality, a musician, all these things. Um, he's kind of an example of someone that can utilize media on all different fronts, and
Yeah.
um, I feel like I like to take this conversation to more tap into the more media side
Hmm.
of our knowledge, and what I guess I want to talk more about how much more individualized content creation has become because I guess like musicians at the end of the day have always been influencers in some way, but there's something about going on TikTok or YouTube and mostly seeing that person like watching their content more so for their content, and then them being like, "Oh, I also have music. Go listen to my music. I
Hmm.
also have I also have merch. Go buy my merch. I have a movie coming out soon. You should check it out.
Yeah.
So, um, I like to hear what your guys' thoughts are on the this kind of like single personality kind of tackling like media on all different fronts. Because if anything,
Mm.
I find something. If there's anything that maybe you guys can agree with me on this, is that the thing that's kind of powerful about someone like Fulcrum is that he is willing to do multiple things than just making videos.
Mm.
He's able to um, he has many different areas that he's able to um, do like
Mm.
that he's able to express himself in that way. And I think that also ties in with how a lot of other people, I think anyone can do that today too, like you
Mm.
can people are very much able to, make music on like, their phones or laptop devices. And, there's not really like Fulcrum really most of the time I think just like walks around a place with like a can like just like camera. I don't even think it's his phone camera
Mm.
or whatever. But excuse me, he walks around the place just like recording something, and all he has to do is really be himself in it, and then he has a whole video.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think, well, there's
yeah.
a lot to address there, but I don't think I'd be incorrect in assuming, because I don't know for sure, that the music came after his original. Unless I'm wrong, and James, if you know better, I would believe the music came a little bit after the YouTube personality side angle of it, came first. The
Um,
music came after,
I'm pretty
unless I'm
sure he
incorrect.
said he'd been making music for like a while, but he
Right.
never really like started pushing it until after.
He had an audience, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think, yeah, it definitely speaks. I think what you were alluding to is like the capability of someone to be a one-person show in that way, where pop culture has had like idols and icons where like they're like a comedian and a talk show host and they do a little like music project on the side. I think that can happen in
You know what's
culture
funny?
and has been replicated. Yeah.
Uh, Fulcrum actually used to make like dubstep.
Is that so?
Yeah.
What?
We
Oh
gotta
my
hear the
god.
Fulcrum dubstep.
Yeah. I don't
The
know
next
if it's
time
out
they
there, but
say,
he mentioned that once.
mhm.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, if any of you guys could find this for me, I would send
Yeah.
it to me, because I would like to hear that.
I would like to hear the Fulcrum dubstep. What was I speaking to? I forget now. I was speaking to.
You were speaking to the idea of like the multi-personality.
Yeah, like I was saying, I think that definitely has existed in culture, especially American culture, quite a lot in the past. But I think, like most things, the ease of access for the average person to become a multimedia star overnight is completely unprecedented in any other time. The ability to just like create influencers and have fame come from, and especially with people who are extremely talented in a variety of fields, I would say Fulcrum is. Um, he, like to an extent, I think he does have a mastery of a lot of fields, and he is a very charismatic person naturally. And I think it is a natural result of how accessible so many different forms of media are nowadays to create and produce, that he would branch out and that he would create a brand around his entire persona, like brand deals and producers and editors. And I would assume most of it is still his own work, but there is a team behind the brand of Fulcrum at that point. And I think it's still, to me, even though it does kind of feel like going quote unquote corporate or like selling out, I feel like people don't have to sell out anymore. I feel like individual artists, and this is actually a really cool effect of self-publishing music, is there's no corporate overlord. Even if you are receiving brand deals and working with greater collectives, it doesn't really feel like people sell out anymore.
It's
Or
not.
like
It
they're
doesn't
doing it
feel
for
like
money.
anyone
They're still themselves.
necessarily.
Yeah,
It doesn't feel like anyone owns you
exactly.
anymore.
Yeah.
I feel like on the creative front, I feel like that's one of the most important things for any sort of creative person is,
Hmm.
you want to, people want to see first, they want to see themselves in the work that they do.
Hmm.
Um, second, like they don't want to be told what to do. They should be able
Yeah.
to, do what it is that they like. And three, I think um, even from a side of being able to just like live off the stuff, dude. Like people deserve to, you know, get the get the revenue that they deserve
Hmm.
for themselves compared to like some sort of company or record label, getting a lot of the profit, because a lot of these things are, I mean, video content creation is, I feel like, definitely a lot more easier to make money off of than music,
Hmm.
um, but like it's still one of those things that like when you're owned by someone, like you have to share that profit.
Hmm.
But like if you are someone that has the ability to not only record, produce, like the content, but also be able um push that content out to people, or
Hmm.
and um and like give like and be able to like have control over all fronts, then it's kind of like you're not really working for anyone other than yourself, which is why,
Hmm.
like, I think that's where like something like TikTok is like is so huge, and even like YouTube to an even more prefigured extent,
Hmm.
like um so influential to that, because people are just able to make their own content and run by their own rules. And there's people that will sponsor the videos,
Hmm.
and those content creators would maybe decide if I want to be sponsored like that. But then, at that point down the line, it's like there's the difference between like what is just like an actual real authentic video, or what is just like it's just like an advertisement.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Gotta love him. Fulcrum, gotta love him. I think really, yeah, I did fall in love with Fulcrum and his message when I was exposed to it early. And then just the opportunity to see him live was
yeah.
was really that really took the cake. That was a great experience. And I know Fulcrum's inclusion in Electronic on 4 was after a little bit of fraught controversy, but I think we all came out winning.
No, yeah. James, is there anything you'd like to say to the to the conversation of the power behind Fulcrum being a multimedia personality?
Um,
Or just maybe what you appreciate about it.
I mean, just, I don't know, honestly. Sorry, I just got distracted for a
No
second
worries.
there, so I lost my train of thought.
No worries.
But yeah, I mean, I think I just admire Fulcrum that he just does everything he wants to, and he
Hmm.
doesn't let any outside, influences stop him from just doing what he needs to do. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I think
But
just such a great message to communicate. And I think it really is communicated by everything he does, just
espe-
because the personality is so connected to the work.
yeah, especially in this time period, I feel
Mhm.
like people like very much like people, especially like our age, who are just starting to get into like adulthood,
Hmm.
where people are thinking about like what is it that I want to like do with my life, like, and I think um otherwise, those kind of influences, especially like good influences like that,
Hmm.
um really put into perspective that like shit, I'm here like one, like I only have this life, like one time. I would like to spend this time like doing something that I really like, and
Hmm.
like actually like doing something that I enjoy. I think people are especially feeling more like people that are otherwise finding more opportunities for individual um I don't know, individual pursuals compared to what, might already be available to them in the pre-existing system, so to say.
Mm.
Um, so I find that like it's like you can do all these things. The only thing that's like really actually limiting you is yourself. You
Is the
know,
hustle?
like you
Is
don't,
the
yeah,
yeah.
like it really is like you don't need to have like a whole studio to make this music. You don't need to have
Mhm.
like all this equipment to make like this content. Like really the only person that is getting that it will be getting in the way of you from making and doing the things that you want to do is yourself. And
Mhm.
so really like it's more so a story of you know self self mastery through making such content, just like practicing, just like fully like putting yourself into the things that you make. And I feel like everyone deserves to have that outlet at the end of the day. Like people should be
Mhm.
free to express themselves rather than being just like exploited for their
Yeah.
creativity.
And it's
So
interesting. To appreciate this from your musical artistry, back like as an active musician and or multimedia content creator, depending on how you want to call yourself. But like, it's interesting to hear your perspective on that, on what he's doing and how important it is, because I do think it's important. I do
yeah.
think it's important, and yeah, just Fulcrum, just love him,
Yeah.
just a lovable guy. I want to support his ventures. I just want to see him succeed, and I think that's the best position that someone you look up to can be in. You know.
Right. And I think that's the thing because it's like I think it's really important, especially when our lives are a lot of the content that we take in or a lot of people take in is people that are influencing. We have influencers.
Hmm.
Influencers, you know, are called that because they influence the way that, you look at life, look at
Yeah.
things, maybe even look at yourself.
Hmm.
So, I feel like it is for there to be a somewhat positive influencer is to be um otherwise like is an influencer that like does something that actually brings about positivity. And
Yeah.
there's no backbone to it. There's no like catch to it.
Hmm.
It's simply someone doing something because they want to, A
Yeah.
lot of the times I feel like you can see a lot of these like people on TikTok just like they're famous and then all right, Dunkin' Donuts wants to do like put like an ad through them. And then
Hmm.
it's just like, you know, it's just kind of like it loses its authenticity because it's like
Hmm.
now this person is just all about selling you a product.
Yeah, and
So
Fulcrum never comes across that way. I think because all of his brand deals are pretty in line with his character, mostly smoking material and smoking accessories. So none of it ever feels horned in, and a lot of it is
yeah,
actually his own work. I think I don't have a source for this, but I remember seeing that he was involved in some sort of business venture, like putting his likeness on recreational marijuana. So
right.
he's enterprising, and you got to respect that. But
And I'm glad we talked about this because I feel like it's really important, especially in like a musical context, that like
mm,
you know I think it's hard to really it is as much as people like to talk about separating the artist from the art. I think there's a lot of context that goes behind these things being made,
mm,
and so um just like having um like you usually when you hear the music you want to also know about the person behind it,
mm.
because it otherwise makes things make a little bit more sense.
It's authentic. It's authentic at that
Yeah.
point.
And so I think like just like individual personality when it comes to talking about the creation of these things
Mhm.
is very important to understand. But that's all I really have to
Sure.
say about Fulcrum. So,
Yeah, I mean that I think that's a good. James, do you have any additional Fulcrum thoughts? Fulcrum.
No, you guys definitely covered a lot.
No, huge, huge. Well, I'm glad, James, you're able to come on today. We hit on some topics that, definitely these are just normal conversations we would have, probably independently, but it's good to get them down on tape, some
yeah.
for other people to stick their teeth into, think about. Definitely, yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely
appreciate you guys
great to
having
have
me.
for sure.
Yes.
And we're happy to have you. And thank you again to Holden for showing up,
No
clocking in,
problem.
clocking out, doing what he's got to do.
Absolutely.
But I mean, hey, I've
Again,
been
King.
Tyler. This has been Holden and James. Close Corners, episode 7. Yeah, that concludes it. Bye, everybody. Come see us next time. Maybe
There you
James will
go.
be here. Maybe he won't. Maybe he's a guest spot. Who knows? I'll leave that in the air.
I'll be recurring, perhaps.
Oh, perhaps. We'll see.
Oh,
We'll see. All right. Well, bye, everybody.
bye 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 bye.
Bye. Bye. End meeting.